In the conference championships this Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles are a 4-point road favorite over the Arizona Cardinals, up from 3, with the total currently at 47, down from 49.5. And once again, thankfully, we have SBR moderator Justin Seven here to talk with us about this game. Justin?
Hey, Peter.
Now, the money is coming in on Philadelphia once again. Public money is coming in on Philadelphia as it did last week. And last week, that money was actually turned out to be correct. I've been hearing that this number it's bouncing between 3 and 4 as the books are trying to manage their risk with all the money coming in on Philly, and offsetting that with the pro action that I've been hearing has been coming in on Arizona. Now, as we mentioned in our previews before, Philadelphia was playing two teams with solid, strong run games, but questionable quarterbacks, and Philly's game plan for those two games was to stuff the box and stop the run and make the quarterbacks beat them, and that didn't happen. Eli Manning and Tavares Jackson both made a bunch of mistakes and handed Philly over the win in those games. In this game, though, the Arizona is kind of an upside down team from that. They're a team that's very strong, obviously, with the pass. They haven't had much of a run game all year, although recently the run game has gotten a bit better. From a matchup standpoint, is this going to give Philadelphia more problems than they experienced in the past 2 weeks? Are they more likely to have success against a team that's weaker in the pass and stronger on the run?
This will be a tough game, obviously. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of passing. I don't think Philadelphia's going to have to cram the box, and I don't expect Arizona to get more than about 70 yards rushing unless you have a weird blowout situation.
Yeah, Philly's pass defense has had a ton of success over the past 6 or 7 weeks. I think they only have given up one pass touchdown in that span of games. But how much of that has been due to Philly just not playing teams with strong passing games?
I would say Philadelphia's defense really is that good, and it's not just the last 6 weeks. If you look at the whole year, they're only average allowing 274 yards a game in total offense. I mean, they're both good against the rush and the pass, and that's not just a recent phenomenon.
Okay, so the first time these teams met earlier in the year, Kurt Warner did throw for 3 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, but he didn't have a great game yardage-wise. But that was also a game where the Cardinals were playing on the road, and they were sort of the reports were that they were sort of having a down week because it was over Thanksgiving. It was over the Thanksgiving break, and Arizona just in general is a lot better passing-wise when they're playing at home and playing indoors. So what do you make of this matchup? You think that Kurt Warner is going to be able to have his way with the Philly pass D as he tends to have with most defenses, or do you think that Philly is going to be able to have a game that's closer to the games that they've had recently, shutting them down?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head when you said that Arizona is a much better team at home. If you look at how they've done this year, your average team has about a 3-point differential for a home field advantage. So that if you add up their scores on the road versus the point spread differentials on the road versus the point spread differentials at home, it's actually 6 points because it's double the home field. With Arizona, it's almost double that. And that's not too unusual for what I'll call a fast turf team. So it's the home field is larger than average in this matchup, and that's why the line is only 4. If you were playing on a neutral field, you might see Philadelphia favored by 8 or 9 points.
See, that's interesting, and this is a topic that Kurt Warner and the Cardinals are actually very much aware of, and I've seen a bunch of quotes from him talking about how he just prefers to play indoors and on the turf, and actually even when it's nice weather out, he asks the team if they can close the roof anyway. So that is very interesting. I also think that the Cards are going to get a big boost here playing at home. We'll get to that in a second. The other very important thing, key thing we got to talk about, fundamental topic for this game is Arizona's improvement over the last 2 weeks in the playoffs. Now, in our last spot, when I asked you about Arizona's improvement, whether it was a mirage or whether it was something that we could expect to see more of in the next game, you sort of gave the opinion that they hadn't improved all that much. But now their defense seems to be a different defense than it was earlier in the year. It's looking a lot faster and hard hitting. And also the other area where they've made marked improvement is in the run game. What do you make of those two key improvements, and how much of that do you think was a mirage, and how much of that do you expect to see continue in this game?
It's all a mirage, and it's all caused by the same factor, and that's turnovers. Against Carolina, Arizona had a +5 turnover differential, and they got up early quickly. When a team is up early, you have 2 things that happen as a result. The team runs the ball more, so Arizona gets more rushing yards, and the opposing team has to pass more into pass defenses, which creates more turnovers. So I don't think this really, I mean, yes, Arizona looks good on paper, but I think it's just explainable by a few early turnovers and then the momentum that caused.
Okay, so now let's talk about the lines. Basically, Arizona, you can get +4. You can get them on the money line around +175, 180. I'm thinking that that's got to be a pretty decent bet. Arizona on the money line, that's the bet I'm liking. That's the bet I'm seeing as having like pretty significant value here. What do you think of that?
I made the line Philadelphia -3.5, so I don't particularly like either side or the money lines.
You don't see this line as being inflated due to people still thinking that Arizona is a subpar team and Philadelphia as a streaking team being sort of the hot public team right now.
Well, Arizona, I'm not going to call them a subpar team. They're not as good as people think. But I also think the home field is undervalued, and those two offset each other in this matchup. So the line's about right.
Okay, now let's talk about the total. The total is right now at 47. It opened at 49.5. I'm going to throw out some numbers, and I want to get your reaction on that. First of all, the total's at 47. 7 out of Arizona's 9 home games have gone over that number of 47. The lowest game that they played all year went to 41. Their average home game scored 52.5 points with a median of 54. And against the spread, Arizona's home games have been 8-1 to the over in their 9 games this year. Now, Philly, of course, is a known sort of defense-oriented team, but they have scored 20 or more points in 6 out of their last 7 games, and their playoff games have gone pretty much close to the number. The game against Minnesota only went under by a half point. The game against the Giants went under by 5, but that was also a game that had gusting winds that probably reduced scoring a bit. What do you think of a play on the over here?
Well, I don't put a whole lot of weight in trends. But there is one thing I think is very interesting about this matchup that clearly favors the over, and that's you look at what happens when you have 2 passing teams. Arizona makes about 39.5 pass attempts per game, whereas the NFL average is 32. Philadelphia averages about 38 pass attempts per game. So you have both of these teams who are passing a lot more than normal. Now, why it matters when both of them are throwing a lot of passes, every pass attempt lengthens the game by, on average, about 1/2 a play. So if you have an extra 20 pass attempts in a game, you're going to have probably an extra 10 offensive plays in that game. So when you have both teams who throw the ball a lot, the game is longer, a lot longer than if one team or the other. And I think a lot of times the lines don't compensate for that. So if you have, in this game, you have about 16 pass attempts more than average, so you're likely to have about 8 more offensive plays than in a typical game. I made the total on this 53, so I think there's value on the over.
So you got no lean on, so you have a lean towards the over and no lean on the side, huh? You don't like Arizona?
Yeah, I definitely like the over, although the fact that the early bettors say I'm wrong makes me a little bit worried about it.
Okay, thanks once again, Justin. Well, there you go. I think there's value with Arizona on the money line at about +180 at home. Justin and I both like the over at 47 where it is right now. It'll be interesting to see if there's any strong late line movement on this game. This was a great game to handicap. We'll see how it turns out.